And hello and welcome, and thank you for coming for my Politics with Friends. And I have a panel of old friends and new friends. Some people that I have never had on my show before, and a few people who have been here several times. And so we'll first of all start out by saying hello to everybody. Jenny, how are you today?
I'm just fine. How are you today?
I'm fine. Jenny, tell us
Good.
a little bit about yourself.
Oh, there's not much to tell. I'm an old fart. I got lots of opinions, not many brains, but I'm willing to share whatever I got. I do
Okay.
shows here and there on a variety of topics. Um, I'm kind of a political junkie for most of my life, so that's
Okay.
all there's to tell.
Okay. And Naka Rage, you are here for the first time and welcome. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. I was like, that wasn't me. Yeah, thanks for having me on. I'm excited to be here. I'm the Raging Atheist. Nakasuchi is my Native American name. It's a real name. I get trolled about it a lot. But yeah, I'm a political junkie as well, and I love talking politics and religion. It's what I live for. So thanks for having me on.
Wonderful. And Ethan, I have seen you on a number of streams, but I have never had you on my channel before. So welcome. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, thanks for inviting me. I appreciate your reaching out to me, by the way, so much. In short, I'm just your friendly neighborhood atheist. I can be seen at youtube.com/YFNAtheist. Um, I am not really, I'll say this constantly, I'm not really qualified to do this. I probably, in most rooms, have the least amount of experience or knowledge when it comes to religion and the Bible, but eventually it just came time to just start speaking.
Okay. Okay. Can't hear you all that well, so if you can turn up a little, that might help. Okay, Junk Shop, old friend, one of my oldest and dearest friends. Tell us a bit about yourself.
Well, I'm Junk Shop. I run the Junk Shop Library channel here on YouTube, where we eviscerate the King James Bible on a regular basis. I've also been known to wax eloquent in my own opinion about politics, and I can only assume that's why I've been invited to grace your screen tonight.
Yep. And Jen also is an old friend that is a frequent guest of mine. Jen, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, yeah, I'm Jen from Jen's Little Corner. I do all sorts of stuff. My politics stuff is mostly around human rights issues and things like that, especially for the LGBT. I do a lot of drunken stuff. I've also started doing some sex education stuff, mostly nudes. Let me quite think I do a lot on my channel. Yeah, my politics is centre left, so I am centrist in some of my views and very left in others. So
Okay. I'm going to start us off by talking about a election that is the polls just closed a half an hour ago here in Alabama. We have a runoff election between Tommy Tuberville and Jeff Sessions. And it's an important runoff because whichever one of them wins will run against Doug Jones. Alabama is predominantly a Republican state, and Doug Jones was able to get elected primarily because his opponent was a pedophile. It was Roy Moore. And when all the information came out about him having sexual contact with teenage girls, Doug Jones was able to get elected. Doug Jones is definitely one of the heroes of Alabama. He is the one that prosecuted and finally brought to justice Frank Cherry. Frank Cherry was the mastermind behind the bombing of the 16th Street Baptist Church I should have looked up the year for that. It was around 1963. It was one of the events that brought the civil rights movement to the forefront of world attention. And currently, according to the New York Times, Tuberville is ahead 60% to 39%, which is absolutely ridiculous because Tuberville's only claim to political experience is he has been a football coach.
What?
Yeehaw!
Yes. Just
Welcome
what
to
we needed.
America, ladies and gentlemen.
Alabama never disappoints, do they?
Naka, I know you have some opinions on this particular race. Go ahead.
Well,
What are your
yeah.
thoughts?
So this dude that Sessions is running against, and any other election cycle that's pre or post Trump administration, Sessions would win in Alabama hands down. So the only reason this guy is beating Sessions right now is because he has lashed himself onto Trump. So, you know, as a leftist hoping for a blue wave, even in these securely red districts, one reason you really want to see Sessions win is because despite his bad qualities, despite Sessions being, he's a blatant racist. There's no doubt about that. Keebler elf that he is, he did have integrity when it came to serving as attorney general, and recused himself and continued to recuse himself even when the president of the United States is calling him out for it. So he did show some level of integrity that he's not just going to bend to the will of Trump. And if Trump is reelected, you want Republicans like that in office that might have a little bit of backbone to go against him. Hopefully Trump doesn't get reelected. But as you said, Doug Jones was actually defeating Sessions in the polls to where it's going to be a steeper road for him against the Trumper.
Tuberville. And Trump came out and publicly endorsed Tuberville. He was supposed to have a rally in Mobile, which is Sessions' home city, but it ended up getting canceled because of the COVID and all that.
Why does this Tuberville say he is running? What's up his butt?
That's actually I did a whole video on that about 3 months ago, and I checked out his website, and actually the only thing on his website is I support Trump. That is his entire platform. I support
no more
Trump.
Football or anything like that.
Oh hell, that guy.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. My mental filing system was a bit Mrs. Frankweiler there for a minute, but now that you say that, oh Lord, this guy.
There has to be more moderate Republicans who don't particularly like Trump. So why is this vote of support for Trump amongst the Republicans?
Jen, this is Alabama.
Yeah. There's definitely indicators that the more moderate Republicans, and there are plenty of PAC groups, Lincoln Project's probably the most famous right now, that are moderate Republicans that are staunchly in opposition to Donald Trump and probably doing better PR work than the Democrats are for Joe Biden. So there are indicators that Trump's going to have a really hard time. But in Alabama, his base is like probably 90% of Alabama. So, he's going to get that state no matter what.
Do you think there's a chance that the Democrat can win against either Sessions or Tubers?
I hope. I really am very hopeful, but I really don't know.
How much of that is hope, and how much of that is grounded in reality for those of y'all there on the ground in Alabama? What's your gut say? Oh Lord, that pause says it all. No.
Yeah. My gut says we have. I don't think we can do it. The only way we can do it the only way we can keep Jones is to get every black person in the state voting, because the black people will support Jones because he took down Frank Cherry.
Well, you do have plenty of time, and I'm not wishing this by any means, but we do have an inept president and an inept Republican Party backing the president during the time of the pandemic. And the Southern Bible Belt is getting hit really hard. So, I mean, that's going to play a major factor come November if they don't get their act together and actually lead a united federal front against this pandemic. I mean, people that have people die. It doesn't matter. Politics goes out the window when you can clearly see that. Hey, I just had my uncle just died because he didn't wear a mask, and our stupid president was pretty much telling him not to. I mean, I think that's going to change. We'll see how it goes, but we could see a very huge blue wave like this country's never seen before, come 2020.
Yeah, I agree. I've also been a little bit surprised that the Democratic Party hasn't gotten behind Doug Jones more, but I think they just don't think he really has as good a chance. Scummer brings up a new topic that I think would be a good one to look at. And he asks, have you heard of the lunatic conspiracy theorist that's running for Congress in Florida?
Oh, boy.
Yeah, she's the QAnon person.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We need Jeff in here to explain that, don't we?
Yeah. God, what is that person's name? I'm drawing a total blank right now.
I can't remember her name either.
Let's see.
I just watched the TYT thing on her too, not too long ago.
Is it? That's what Ricardo said. Is that right?
I don't know. Okay. Oh, yeah, here we go. Yeah, Lauren Boebert is what Ricardo says, and he's probably right. I'm not familiar with her.
Gun rights activist touts for support for Trump.
Oh, this is an old. Sorry, I thought I had it, but this is an old article about another QAnon lunatic Republican in Florida who was running for Congress. Okay, well, no, that's from a year ago. That won't help us.
She's pretty much the same.
About your voting system in the US. I know it comes down to states to a large extent, especially when you're talking about the president. But are there actual voting districts per se? So when you're voting for your representatives within a state, are there separate districts, and those districts vote representatives, and then those representatives?
The House of Representatives are the Congress.
Yes, yes, and those districts look like this because of gerrymandering.
Yeah, and we've actually, the left has been pretty good about winning lawsuits when it comes to that. And we've actually changed the voting map in several states, including my state of Michigan and in North Carolina. Like North Carolina might actually go blue for the first time in its history because they got rid of all the gerrymandering. We're gonna see what's gonna happen. I don't know. I tend to deal with the really red North Carolinians, but I'm from the country, so.
You actually have the case where some voting districts are greatly disproportionate to the number of voters in them compared to others. That's the type of gerrymandering you're talking about, where they deliver.
Well, no, a lot of them actually split it by racial lines. So, like, if there's a black neighborhood, they're gonna make sure that those votes aren't gonna count, so the Republican will win. So they will draw their maps around pretty much where the black neighborhoods are in a lot of these states. So they've been losing in courts because it's very obvious what they're doing.
Now, way back in 85, I remember I was in law school and my constitutional law professor was asked by a city to redraw the districts because in the city that I lived in, the black people had never been able to vote a candidate in, and they said, can you draw us a district that's primarily a black district so we can always elect a black candidate from this district? And so sometimes gerrymandering has been done to try to assist minorities. Although
that's one.
Right. Right. Although actually he came back to them and said that there wasn't one area that was sufficiently predominantly black that he could make a black district, but he could make a minority district, a district that had a majority of minorities. And so that's what he ended up making for them.
I can remember in Wisconsin several redistricting efforts that where they tried to do their best to split the population of certain areas so that nobody could be elected who was a minority ever.
Yeah, I mean, we've come a long way from where we were before, but they've been going through the federal courts, and I'm actually a little, I feel better despite the problems we had with Kavanaugh, despite how Neil Gorsuch got in there. Both of those judges have repeatedly went against Trump and the very extreme Republican agenda going through the Supreme Court so far this session. So it gives me a little hope that once these judges actually do ascend to the judgeship, that they do respect it mostly. I mean, we had issues with Alito back in the day, but mostly they do respect the bench and they do respect the law. So hopefully we will continue to actually make an atmosphere where everybody's vote is going to count. And that's probably going to change this country from a center-right country, as it's always been known, to a center-left country fairly quickly. If it's just fair across the board, I think that it'd be fairly easy for us to hold power for a long time.
Which is a great lead into Druid Lover's question, which is, what is your opinion on getting rid of the Electoral College? If we abolish that, wouldn't it take care of gerrymandering? No, it would not take care of gerrymandering.
Only as far as the presidency goes. It wouldn't solve it as far as your other two houses go.
The gerrymandering exists because the districts of the state, the congressional districts, are set up by the state legislators. And as long as the Republicans hold the majority of state legislators in the census year, which is always the zero number year, like 2020, they will continue to set them up so that they win. It's the only way the Republicans win, because if they were to be divided up in an even way, there's just not enough Republicans to win across other districts. That's why they do what they do.
Do you think, regardless if it wouldn't take care of the gerrymandering, that we should get rid of the Electoral College and go with the popular vote?
I don't know. It's a two-edged sword. Electoral College can be helpful in terms of one state not overruling every other state just because of their size or population or something like that. But it also works against us, like we saw with Trump. So
I've actually researched this a little bit because this is an issue that's near and dear to my heart. We have lost two major key elections due to the Electoral College on the left. Campaigns that I worked for, both of them, Al Gore, and here recently for Hillary Clinton. And I totally forgot my point that I was going to make, but I was going to make a great point.
I just spoken about the back and forth, how sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. Works for us.
The Electoral College. So based upon my research of it, it was pretty much a compromise because the founding fathers were afraid that the revolution went too far in individual freedoms and this atmosphere of individual freedoms, and they wanted to give a little bit more power back to the elite, so the elite could choose pretty much their president. I'm completely for getting rid of the Electoral College altogether. I don't think that it's needed. I think that if the two races that we lost, the Republicans had lost due to the Electoral College, it would be gone already. It wouldn't have happened a second time because it would have been gone the first time.
Although keep in mind, to get rid of the Electoral College, and I think a lot of people say out in the chat and the public at large do not understand that it would take a constitutional amendment to do that.
Yeah, just like if you want to overturn Citizens United, if you want to actually give people the power to vote and take away corporations' power to vote, you have to have a constitutional amendment, a constitutional convention now for that as well. So yeah, it's no easy task. And with constitutional conventions, they can be like the Wild West because you open it up to every little fringe extreme thing that people want to get into the Constitution.
Yeah.
So it's a double-edged sword. Yeah, it's a double-edged sword.
They can take out any existing amendment. They can add anything new that they want. not a good thing. It's just not at least not with the.
Yeah, there's a reason it's only happened.
Right nowadays.
There's a reason it's only happened twice in the history of the country, and one of those times was at the very beginning.
Where did your tradition come from to have midweek elections? Because as an Australian, that is the weirdest thing ever. All our elections happen on weekends, so people
I believe the presidential election is actually part of the Constitution as well, isn't it?
Yes,
it is. First Tuesday after the first
of
Monday.
November. Mm-hmm.
First Tuesday after the first Monday.
Why week? That is the stupid time to hold an election.
There's a debate to do
it. Sorry, go ahead, Knock.
No, you go ahead, please. I've been talking a lot.
Oh, I was just going to say, if memory serves, it was originally something to do with the agricultural calendar. Though I could be wrong about that. I'm placing it on the Tuesday.
There is a ability to vote. Given that if you're affluent, you can afford to take time off work to go and vote, whereas if you're less, you might not be able to get time off. But in a country where it's not compulsory to vote, that's good because you're discouraging the lower classes from voting.
Yeah.
That's what to me.
Now, interestingly, at least here in Tennessee, I can't speak for anywhere else, but in Tennessee, your employer is legally required to give you a certain amount of time off to go vote if you are scheduled to vote on election day. But that can be an absolute breakneck run because you're only required to get, I think, a total of 3 hours off, and if you work an hour away from your house, which means you're a 45-minute drive away from your polling place, and you're having to go during lunch hour and then wait in line and then come back, it can be hell on big squeaky wheels trying to get that done.
And just to add to that, with the Republicans having taken away the Voting Rights Act, they get to do whatever they want with voting out federal elections now, and hence we end up with 8-hour lines to vote in places like Georgia and Milwaukee and stuff like that, where they've clearly taken polling places out of minority neighborhoods and nobody else. It's like, how blatant can you get? And people going, oh, okay. It's like, damn, you can't do.
Well, yeah, at the same exact time that they're expressing outrage that there must be live in-person polling, that mail-in voting is fraudulent voting, and you can't possibly do that because people will actually vote. They're using COVID-19 to take away voting places. In some states, I've seen as many as 1,000 voting places less than what they just had 2 years ago. And they're using COVID-19 as their political excuse to do that. As they're using COVID-19 as like it doesn't exist and people should be forced to stand in these long lines.
Yeah. It's
Jeremy,
How do they rationalize COVID being part of that? I don't get that.
Oh, rationalize, schmationalize. All they do is they say it's because of COVID, and they pull whatever bullshit they want out of their fucking ass. Pardon my French. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but
that's pretty much true.
The same party. They're the same party that's standing there and saying COVID's a hoax. We don't need masks.
It's a hoax when it's convenient. It's a terror when it's true.
Well, they went along with Trump, but like you see it, like Trump's in panic mode now because he has blundered this all to hell. I have never seen an incumbent president down as much as Trump is down to an opponent that's pretty much non-existent. I have not seen Joe Biden anywhere, and Joe Biden's crushing this man. It's really, really beautiful to see. Not the fact that he's so inept that he's causing this pandemic to be far worse than it is. But it's just like, I told people, like, this is going to happen. You could have predicted this 4 years ago when this man was elected. And all these people that said, nuh-uh, well, they got family members dying now. It's crazy.
Well, and the thing is, this situation that Trump and Biden are in right now is going to completely annihilate the idiom of better the devil you know. Because we know Trump, because he's always out there on Twitter telling you exactly what's on his mind at any given moment. We don't know what's on Biden's mind at any given moment, but shit, give me friggin' Biden.
All
I don't
Joe
want
Biden
this-
has to do
This
is sit in
friggin'
his
lunatic
home.
is keep his mouth shut.
Yeah, just stay quiet, sit in his home, and let Trump
Don't
do his
hug
work for
anybody.
him.
Right?
I do actually have a question on this. I despise the two-party system. I think we need more options, and I feel like continuing voting for the lesser of two evils is the worst thing we can do. However, at the same time, we do have to get rid of Trump. But what's to say that we do get rid of Trump and then the following election isn't that case again? So at what point do we stand up and say, hey, we're done voting for the lesser of two evils and we're going with the third party or another option?
We've got to survive the next 4 years in order to have that problem. And with Trump in power for another 4 years, I'm not necessarily convinced that we will have that problem because we may not be around for it.
Yeah, when it's not a possible fascist. I mean, I don't even think it's possible. It's a possible thing at this moment. He's made very clearly if he's reelected, he's going to be a fascist. He's going to lock up his political opponents. I think that this is a special thing here. I say in 4 years, if Joe Biden doesn't come to the left a little bit and start really at least trying to work on healthcare, then I say the aggressive left need to make our stand. I'm totally with you on political parties. I think we should have like 8 or 9 at least.
When did you agree?
Viable. 8 or 9 viable ones.
Viable parties,
I agree, but we also have to realize the left needs to realize real badly that the only way we're going to accomplish that is to do exactly what the Republicans have done since 1980, and that is to play the long game and to start getting people into the school board positions, to the alderman positions, to the county supervisor positions, to the state reps positions, where they can make change and hold office and hold that majority. That's what the Republicans have been doing since 1980, and they've become successful at it. Republicans can win elections. They can't govern. And Democrats know how to govern, but they can't win elections.
They're really good at fear mongering on the local level. You're exactly right. And they vote for judges on the national level. That's another thing I think the left should do. We should take them a lot more seriously. And they are a lot better at that, no doubt. They're a monster when it comes to it.
Quick question for you. When did Trump say that he would directly lock up all his opponents? Or lock up anyone who disagrees with him?
Well, he's had several legislations coming out recently, several statements. He's called for Hillary Clinton to be locked up since he campaigned against her. He has called for Obama to be locked up recently. The director of the FBI he's called for repeatedly. He's got his guy in the attorney general now. If he has another 4 years, there's no doubt he's going to be a fascist and he's going to actually follow up on a lot of these threats. I have no doubt.
That's not fascism. Fascism is the mixing of corporate and government.
Well, it's the start of it.
He is an authoritarian, totalitarianist prick. That fascism is different. They go together. Usually, your fascist becomes an authoritarian, but primarily, Donald Trump is an authoritarian, and he wants to be God. And he also believes in fascism by mixing corporations with government.
I say fascist because I refer to his racist rhetoric and his placating to white nationalists. But you're exactly right. He's trying to be more of an authoritarian, and you can see that as well, Ethan, by how he's been playing to the military and has even there's fear by retired generals that he's trying to use the military, and if he loses this election. So yeah, I agree with you. I say fascist because I refer to it as racism more than anything.
You think he would go that far?
Oh yeah. He does. Yeah.
In a heartbeat. In a heartbeat.
I not only think he would try to go that far, but I think the army would come back and say, "Fuck you."
Well, yeah, I believe that too.
This guy at all.
I hope so. Like him. I hope so. But I mean, he tried to do it in the last election when he thought he was going to lose to Hillary. He was calling for his Second Amendment gun nuts to take to the streets. He's literally several times throughout his presidency talked about these bikers for Trump as a weapon that he would use. So yeah, I mean, it's not beyond any stretch of the imagination.
Here's an interesting opinion. Randy says if the GOP fucks around and gets voted out, they may never have a majority again. My kids are in their 20s and probably will never vote GOP.
Randy is likely correct, unless gerrymandering can be continued in such force that they can continue to manipulate the numbers.
And unless the Gen Xers maintain the kind of control over their children that they hope they can. There's a lot of weird, shrieking right-wing Gen Xers who want to go back to the days of, the glory days that Grandpappy used to tell them about, and they're teaching their children that way. And if they can maintain that approach down a dynastic line, we're in serious trouble in about 18 to 20 years.
Yeah. And you never know where they're going to come from. I mean, let's keep in mind that the people
radicalize the youth.
People who are in power today were the draft dodgers in Vietnam days.
Well, and the radical right is a lot better at propaganda. You've seen it, like the surge of the alt-right, even before Trump. Just the meme wars that Richard Spencer was able to utilize to bring a lot of people into that movement. You can see how having an extremist president has really brought extremism to the forefront on both sides. The left has this terrible issue with cancel culture right now. It's crazy. It's getting out of control. And it's a result of having such an extreme right party in power, because it's not just the president anymore. It started with just Trump, but every single one of them went as far to the right as he needed them to go. And they're going to be squirming to get their way out of it once he loses.
Yeah.
Do you think that if the Democrats get a clean sweep in the following election, they're going to have to throw some kind of a bone to the right to keep them from being too much backlash?
We'll find a way to fuck it up. Democrats always do.
I mean, there's definitely been talk that Joe Biden's looked at a Republican for vice president. I say no. I hope not. I think we should. I catch a lot of heat because I say we should play by the rules that they lay down for us to play by. Democrats want to take that high ground. When they go low, we go high, and I'm like, no, we should go a little lower. But that's just me. I'm a minority on the left when it comes to that.
I think your numbers are increasing. There's more and more of us who are saying that's bullshit. Like, you got to kick their ass. No more than Mr. Nice Guy.
Playing nice got us Trump. I mean, that's my opinion. But that's my opinion.
I disagree with Randy's comment there. I think he's both. He's both a symptom and a problem.
Yeah, I would agree. I think a lot of him, is the problem.
Typically, and it sounds stupid saying this, but they have, in many ways, a victim mentality. They think their is under attack. Their whiteness is under attack, and it's ridiculous. But it doesn't change the fact that they actually feel that way. Now, when we go lower with these people, all they're going to do is going to reinforce their ground. They're going to feel like, wow, these people are attacking.
No, when I say go low, I mean just look at what the Lincoln Project is doing right now. The Lincoln Project is doing so much damage to the Republican Party because they're playing by Republican Party rules, and they're making sense.
They are Republicans.
Yeah, they're Republicans. So they don't play by this notion, we've got to be the good guys. We are the good guys. All we got to do is show the truth of what happened. They're doing it, and Democrats are sitting pretty much watching the ads as they come out. I mean, it's pretty sad. There's been a couple. I'm not going to take Joe Biden had a couple. His last ad I thought was brilliant. But Joe Biden you can expect that from him. He's a moderate centrist. I don't even call him on the left, but he knows the smartest people in the game. So he's going to have the smartest people around him, actual good people, not like Trump smart people.
Yeah. Are any of you getting in your markets the Trump ad where it's a split screen of some of the riots and stuff, and a telephone answering machine saying you leave a message if this is the police department, leave a message, press 1 to report a murder, press 2 to report a rape, and for the rest of crimes, forget it, we're gone. It'll take 5 days for us to get back to you. Anybody else getting that? I live near Minneapolis, that's why I'm curious.
I have it, but I do get I get a lot on YouTube, and that's pretty much all I really watch. and so I just skip through it. I can't stomach it.
I
really-
only watch the YouTube ads if it's somebody I really want to support. Otherwise, I'm just wait
Well,
5 seconds, skip ad, and that's the only
this-
place I get advertisements these days.
This ad
Same.
is very interesting to me. It tells me that Trump has a huge amount to do with his campaign. Usually, when you have a presidential election, you have the actual candidate doing a group of ads, and they tend to be fairly mild and I won't say fact based, but they pretend that they're fact based. Not terribly emotional, trying to sell the person, not the policies. And all the horrible, nasty meanness in all the PACs and the side groups that are supporting one side or the other. This is a very nasty ad, very nasty. It is clearly intended to manipulate the emotionality of the audience, and it is by the Trump campaign.
I haven't seen that one, but did you
And-
see the one where he literally used the Jewish number system from the Holocaust? I mean, and then tried to say, well, that's what Antifa uses. No, it was literally, it was atrocious. Yeah. It was atrocious. I mean, like, the man, Stephen Miller is running this dude's campaign. I swear to God. And Stephen Miller's KKK. I'm just going to say it.
Oh, yeah.
Fucking get me started on Stephen Miller. Pardon my French.
But I haven't seen the one you're talking about. Now I'm going to have to go and actually find it and watch it because I need to see it now.
It's worth watching if it's in your market. I haven't seen it on YouTube or anything, so I can't share it. But what it tells me is that Trump is in the campaign very heavy. It was pure Trump with the bullshit that's in it. It completely misrepresents what the concept of defunding police is. It's going after rape. We're gonna have rape here. That's so Trumpy and it's not funny.
I want to pull back something you said about this predominantly white group of people in the Republicans thinking that white people are being attacked. You actually see that an awful lot. I mean, we're basically a white panel here, but I know a lot of white people that if you point out the fact that they're white and that they're using their privilege for being white, they will call you out as being a racist for saying that they're white. And I'm like, no, that's not how racism.
Yeah, that's that. I think that started as an alt-right meme. It's a way to troll. But yeah, like I don't believe in that shit at all. Yeah, it's stupid. It's a meme.
Yeah.
Ricardo has an interesting comment here. He says, "Junk shop. Now that, yes, but what? But now that has happened, damage is incontestable and will be further exposed on Trump exit. Trump is going to linger for years."
I agree.
And I think Ricardo is right. Yeah, the problems with Trump are going to be around for years. But the biggest, I think the biggest thing, and probably one of the most important things about getting Biden into office is RBG cannot hang on for another 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's back in the hospital today.
Yeah, she's back. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just heard that this afternoon.
Yeah,
some kind of infection that was unspecified. Yeah,
I'm honestly surprised she's lasted the whole term like she has.
I am too.
Knock on wood. The whole term.
If she dies after the election, but before the Democrats take office, do you think that Trump would do the same honorary thing that Obama did and leave the appointment of the next judge administration?
No.
Oh no, he'll appoint somebody. It'll be bloody Stephen Miller or somebody with no experience and right-wing ideology. But he'll appoint somebody.
They'll hammer it through in a lame duck session like crazy.
And Obama, no hope. Obama didn't do anything honorable. Like he didn't like. All right, it's cool. No, Mitch McConnell pretty much broke our Constitution in half and
continues to.
That. He stalled that. The Senate would not even see I can't remember his name now, but he was a decent
Merrick
moderate.
Garland.
Merrick Garland.
Merrick
He was a
Garland.
moderate judge. I mean, as moderate as you can come on the left. And the Senate would not even interview him, would not see him, would not hold a vote on him, and they stalled that for a year. And I would predict that the Democrats would fold and Trump would get another judge. I would predict it.
We are not safe till January 20th.
So basically,
No, January 21st.
the same politics that the Republicans are, which is why the Republicans keep getting themselves elected.
Now, I'm not sure if we have, I'm not sure what the House of Representatives' power is when it comes to judges. So the House might be able to hold it up, and there would actually be hope there because most of the progressives are in the House. So AOC and all of them, they're not going to vote. But there's a lot of moderates there, too, that could cross over. So I don't know. We might, I would say play the same game, but then a lot of Democrats, so you got to take that high ground. We got to play by the Constitution, and they're not wrong for that. I'm just saying, they don't care. Why should we?
Yeah, but the issue is a lot of the Democrats seem to be very willing to play by the intent of the Constitution and try to do the righteous and honorable thing.
It's stupid. I think.
And that is not the time for this. Now is the time to go for the jugular and fight to the last absolute scraggling verge of a shred of the letter of the Constitution.
Oh, yeah.
Because we've got to win all of this. The presidency is not the last of it. We've got to win all of this, or we're all gonna fucking die.
We have a serious chance of winning the Senate, and that wasn't in place 6 months ago. It's due to the pandemic. If we don't take the Senate, nothing really changes. And then if we take the Senate and nothing really changes, well, we point that finger just like we've been pointing it at Trump for 3 years because they're going to have full power.
The House has absolutely zero to do with judgeships. Zero.
So right now it wouldn't even be a Democrat. Like we wouldn't even have a chance to even hold it up because the Senate, they're just going to push through Trump's nominee.
Oh God, January 21st, please come.
Yeah, RBG, you need to pull through, girl. You got to pull through.
Can we agree, though, that if Joe Biden wins, that we will all be just as hard on him as we are Trump? Because I would think
I'll be worse.
My ideal candidate.
I catch grief because I'm not easy on Obama. People like to glorify Obama. Obama was the deporter in chief until Trump came. He deported more people than anybody. Yeah. Drone strikes that killed innocent people.
Yeah.
And I get in trouble for pointing that out. Like I am fair, and I think most leftists we are. We're not afraid to look at our own. The other side really tends to play team sports.
I would say
Obama was at best a
leftists. No, they're pretty. In my experience, I've met some pretty close-minded leftists who think in.
Oh yeah, there's some far leftists, especially on Twitter.
Yeah, I was about to say yes. Really, close-minded leftists? Have you been on Twitter? Have you? Have you indeed, my friend?
This will twist everything. At best, I think Obama was a center right leftist.
He won in 2008. He won in 2008 running as a leftist candidate. But yeah, he showed his true colors. He was a corporatist. He was a moderate. He did a lot of good shit. What he did to get us out of the 2008 recession we was in was brilliant. I think that he'll go down as one of the better presidents of all time because of that. But you still got to point out, like, you killed a lot of innocent people, dude. Come on,
Yeah. He's going to go down as one of the better presidents in history with two big old asterisks next to his name. One that leads to an article about drone strikes and one that leads to an article about Guantanamo Bay.
Yeah, that too, yeah.
But he wasn't even socially leftist. He could have made so many social reforms whilst he was in office, and he didn't do that. He let the courts do it, and I guess in a sense his administration took credit for it. But he himself didn't make socially positive change. So yeah, he was very centrist, Obama.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and Obama and Guantanamo, his intent was to close it. He unfortunately did drag his feet, but I don't think he drug his feet on that any worse than than Nixon did with Vietnam, bringing Vietnam to an end. He eventually did it, but he fucked around with it for 8 years.
I think the problem.
I can't speak to that. That's a hole in my knowledge. The whole Vietnam conflict. It's both too early and too late for me to.
I think the problem you've got in the US is Trump's dragged the whole political spectrum so far right now that people who are centrist look left.
Oh yeah, well yeah, and I point that out because I spoke highly of the. Oh, go ahead. I spoke highly of the Lincoln Project. Don't forget that these people are war hawks. The Lincoln Project just ran an ad talking about how pretty much, Trump's kind of weak because he didn't fight all these wars. I mean, yeah, so don't forget that these so-called moderate Republicans are your John Boltons that has tried to go to war with Iran for the last 20 years of his life. I mean, these are people that are tied to big oil and want nothing done on climate change. So yeah, know the enemy of your enemies, but don't call them allies.
I don't bloody care. This is an aliens versus predator situation.
Well, yeah, I agree.
If the serpents get to the surface, we will all die. To quote that terrible, terrible first AVP movie. But I will take the Lincoln Project's help, even knowing everything I know about him. Just get that man out of that chair, and then I'm happy.
They definitely.
Or I'll be happy for 3 days. I'll go on a bender for 3 days, during which I'm deliriously happy, and then I'll be pissed off about something else. But
no, the problem is you need a change in the guard that enabled Trump to happen in the first place, and that's part of your problem. Because if not Trump, it'll be somebody else. I mean, I can't imagine that it would be any better with some of the other people who are surrounding Trump, and they are probably the people who will step into the fold if it wasn't Trump. So,
did anybody hear Sebastian Gorka's back in?
Oh God!
Sorry,
idiot.
I'm sorry. Somebody just said my nemesis's name. Who said something about Stephen Miller?
I said something a while ago.
I said that I would not be surprised if he didn't run for president at some point here.
Oh, I'm certain he will. It's a horrifying and yet gleefully exasperating thought. There was a news story I heard today. I hadn't been able to source it yet. But somebody told me today that Sebastian Gorka has been rehired by the administration. Has anyone heard anything about that? Apparently, it just happened this afternoon.
I haven't heard anything, but it wouldn't surprise me. Didn't Trump pardon him or some shit?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't even remember if he left of his own volition or not. But he's just the right kind of crazy that I enjoy watching him. Oh, go to hell, Shadow Kitty. No, but truly, I mean, Gorka's a fun punching bag to whack-a-mole with. But under the right political circumstances, I could see Stephen Miller running for president and rising to power, and that's fucking absolutely horrifying. Stephen Miller would be worse than Trump because Miller is organized and devoted to a principle, and that's bad, especially when you're that far right.
According to CNN, Trump is going to appoint Sebastian Gorka to the National Security Education Board.
Sweet baby Jesus! Why? He has no expertise. Sorry.
No, he's just a professional pundit.
Yeah.
Neither does Betsy DeVos, but.
Yeah, exactly. I was about to say, who in this administration has relevant expertise, for God's sake?
I want Joe Biden to pick Tammy Baldwin for vice president.
Ooh.
Oh, I'm not sure who that is.
Senator from Wisconsin, first open federal legislator, openly lesbian federal legislator. She's been in office 3 terms now, 2 terms, 3,
Something
2 for sure.
Yeah, 2 for sure, maybe 3.
She's very, very smart. She spent a lot of years in state politics and was very good. And then she went into Congress, I believe, and then Senate. And she's very good. And I could just see Joe Biden drop it over from a stroke or something and her being president and
I
have the
would-
first woman and lesbian.
I would
president.
share
That would
no
be
tears
great.
for that.
So I'm hoping for her, and she would be a very reasonable voice as vice president. She could do the job well.
Yeah, it's going to be a job for the boys, isn't it? With Biden.
God, I hope not.
I don't know. The problem is he is so goddamn old. He is so old that it's hard to predict what he's going to say or do. I mean, there's a part of you that wants to say he's a Democrat, so hopefully he'll nominate a woman, preferably a woman of color, to be his VP. And then there's a part of you that goes, yeah, but he's like 105 years old. You know he's going to nominate some 97-year-old white man with extensive ties to the NRA. It just
he's 77, and that's only 12 years older than me.
I meant no offense, and I apologize.
Actually, I think you'd make a good president, Jen. So there you go.
Yeah. And I'll take Laverne Cox as my vice.
Oh yeah.
I haven't really considered vice president. I just hope it's not a Republican. I kind of had this weird feeling that he's going to try to reach out to the right, and I just hope it's not that. So, and Kamala Harris, I'd hate to see. I think that her
never happened.
I think that her being a prosecutor right now is not the right thing.
Yeah, never happened due to her prosecutorial record. Yeah, and I just
think
hope
Stacey Abrams is a strong candidate.
Oh, but she's got no experience, none. That's the thing that scares me is him picking somebody like Stacey Abrams for the look of his campaign. But she's got no experience, no national experience at the very least.
I was going to say, she's got no national experience, but she's got state experience, and that's no different than electing a governor.
She's got a little bit of state experience, but throwing somebody into the VP deep end, I don't know if that's I don't know. I don't know. I have reservations. I'm deep
hoping
reservations.
America is done with hiring amateurs for this office, whether it's pres or vice pres.
Yes. Fuck you, Arnold Schwarzenegger. You're never getting in the Oval.
I don't know. Like, I mean, if you really think about it, that's what the right wing elects. I mean, they elected Ronald Reagan. They elected George Bush, the Bush family, which is they're not in the entertainment industry, but they're just wealthy billionaires. George Sr. was, head of intelligence for forever, but their money is in oil. And then they elected, the game show host, Donald Trump. So, I mean, it's pretty much what they elect. They don't really elect serious politicians. They just elect people that's going to put the judges that they want to be in the Supreme Court.
They are interested in a figurehead and somebody that they can tell what to do.
Yep.
Although George Bush Sr. was not somebody you could just tell what to do. I mean, that guy, he had some serious chops.
Well, yeah, and he had an agenda too. If he would have got 4 years, I'm interested. It's like a good thought experience if he would have been reelected, what the country would have looked like. Because like his intelligence experience is really suspect, and you don't know a lot about it because he was on the higher echelons of it. That man knew things that other people just didn't know. Mm-hmm. So yeah, he was an interesting case study for the Republican Party.
And I would trust him because he was a man who actually had to sit there and wonder if he was going to die today, and he didn't. And anybody who's been to that point in life in a war comes out a different person than what they went in as.
Yeah, I mean, I've read some conspiracy theories about him, so I try not to believe what I read about George Sr. I believe everything I read about George Jr. though, because that man, he was
Do you think there'll be any issues with getting Trump to leave the White House if he loses?
I mean, I don't
Definitely.
know what he'll get away with, but I could see him. I mean, he's already setting himself up right now by constantly saying that the Democrats are trying to fix the election. He's literally putting this all out there. So when the time comes that he loses, he could say he only lost because the election was fixed, and then he can use that to rally his fan base to try and get him to stay in office.
Here's my weird throw out there brain teaser with regard to that. Is ultimately, as well as I understand it, the people who were he to refuse to leave the physical Oval Office, the people who would have to physically remove him from the physical room would be the Secret Service, who are under technically a branch of the Treasury, which makes them technically subordinate to Stephen Mnuchin. So what in hell's great greasy wheels does that mean?
I think he's definitely going to try to stay in, without a doubt.
Stephen Mnuchin trying to give the order to. I mean, it's fun to puzzle out in your brain, but it's goddamn horrifying in real life.
Just imagine like the document dump that's going to happen when he loses. I mean, they're going to scrub that place clean. Every single one of them are going to be afraid of the secrets coming out. The Democrats' impeachment was a joke. They really should have taken it through the courts. They should have dragged that thing out because they had the goods on them. So I just imagine like just the paper shredding machines just going crazy from November to January.
Yeah.
They're not allowed
Somebody go down to Office Max. We've burned out the shredders again.
They are not allowed to throw out any documents from their administration. That is all considered archival records.
I do believe
that tweets.
I do believe that's one of
and yet he deletes them all the time.
Well, I believe that's one of the things that Nixon was actually impeached on, was that he was destroying documents and evidence.
Documents, yeah.
But he opened China.
I think looking back in retrospect, Dick Nixon ain't so bad compared to the criminal we got in the White House right now.
I voted for Nixon. It was the very first election of my life, and I was a scared, ignorant kid, and I voted for Richard Nixon.
I was Republican up until I was about 24, so my first, at least one election, I voted Republican at least one time in my life. Yeah.
He was.
I voted for Reagan.
Oh, you cost me my job.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Conservative, but conservative here is a little different to you, so.
So I meant to bring this up when I was streaming earlier, and I haven't. Has anybody heard that Trump's been threatening to revoke schools' tax exempt status now if they don't reopen?
Oh yeah. He's been very public about that.
Based on indoctrination, though. So my question is, if he's gonna, maybe we should allow him to do that. I mean, I don't want to sacrifice my daughter to COVID, so we shouldn't allow him to do it. But like, if he does do it, then that does like actually open up the floodgates to, you know, taking away tax exempt status from churches over indoctrination. If this president were to do so,
it's not worth it.
Definitely not worth it. Yeah,
it's not worth the sacrifice. There are prices I would be willing to pay for that, and I'm not even a parent. Never have been, never will be. Praise God. But it's not worth sacrificing.
I just
thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of children.
Well, not just
against
the children.
The chance of putting some nick in big Jesus's armor.
I got in a really fun argument on Facebook this afternoon because a Trumper was insisting that we should open up the schools, and I'm like, well, even if they open up the schools, I don't feel comfortable sending my daughter back to school as of right now. The way it's going right now, she's type 1 diabetic, but I don't feel comfortable sending any of them back to school because they don't get it as much as older people do, but they carry it, and they're going to carry it to teachers and staff. They're going to carry it home to elderly people and their parents. So I mean, it's just ridiculous. So yeah, I'm definitely, we should not be opening the schools until we have this thing under control here in the States. And it's possible because other countries did it. You know, other countries actually had leaders and they did it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I like how you think.
What does he mean? He's going to pull the exempt status from who?
From
private
schools, from I think all schools. As far I don't know, it was
Well,
some
the problem
weird
is, though,
thing that I just heard.
Public schools don't have any taxes; they're part of the public.
So I'm not sure.
Right, they're owned by the local
Well,
governments.
and I think that he doesn't even know what the fuck he's talking about half the
No,
time he
right.
fucking talks about it. You know,
Of course he doesn't. That's the problem.
He also thinks that we could profit from tariffs. So.
yeah, that was something that like, I saw just before we came on stream. And I'm like, holy shit! Like indoctrination, really?
Boy, who put 50 cents in your 25-cent slot, Junk Shop?
I'm always like this. It's why everyone loves me.
Robert X says he voted against Trump, but it doesn't matter because he's in Germany. I voted against Trump too, but it didn't do any good. I'm in Alabama, so my state voted for him anyway.
I voted against Trump, and it didn't matter because I'm in Tennessee. Yeah.
Yep.
There's
And
a
you got
whole
the same problem
round of
again.
the same game. Yep.
Has Tennessee got any chance of voting for Biden?
No.
Yeah, I don't think so. North Carolina does, but Tennessee don't.
What are the
There's-
chances of
there's-
getting rid of Lindsey Graham?
I hear
I heard-
he's running into
I don't
tight
know.
race.
How old is he?
I heard it's actual it's
70s.
possible this time. It's really tight, and yeah, people in South Carolina aren't too happy with his bootlicking, I guess.
What do we do if Trump wins?
Grit
I think we all
our
die.
teeth
I'm
and
a-
pray.
I'm a far
all
leftist,
move-
so I'm not going to answer because I'm going to plead the fifth and not incriminate myself in future criminal acts.
I understand.
baby Jesus.
I think we
Yeah.
all move to Australia and join Jen.
I told Neil the
Right.
604 atheist. I'm moving in with him. He's going to be my roommate if I can get citizenship in Canada.
As a trans person, I am very seriously consider going to Canada, and I will drive across the border at top speed and scream refugee status.
Oh yeah, he's been relentless against trans people in the first term. If this man gets reelected, it's going to be trans and gay issues the whole 4 years. That's going to be his end to really discriminate against a segment of the population.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand what his problem is. I really don't. And I know that's a blanket statement that covers
do.
everything.
It's daddy
but
issues.
other
His daddy
than the
never
fact
liked him.
that he's old as shit and probably has brain damage. You can be old as shit with brain damage and daddy issues and still not be a dipshit who hates every one of his fellow men. And I don't understand why he is the other kind.
Well, he was a con artist that people elected into the White House, and he's done everything to enrich himself since and give himself more power. I mean, it's what every person that knew about Donald Trump in 2015 was screaming at the top of our lungs at these idiots that were actually considering this to vote for this man. Like, please vote for Ted Cruz. He's a douchebag, but he's not that douchebag. You know,
Right?
We were literally screaming that shit.
Better the blobfish, right? I don't know. The guy, I mean, what I don't understand about Trump, what I really and truly cannot wrap my head around is why he's so hateful. I understand self-enrichment. I understand self-aggrandizement. I understand the lust for power and control. What I don't understand is the projection outwards of hatred and vitriol. I don't understand the well from which that springs.
He probably had a very poor relationship with his mother. And he's
Well,
got
so did I, but I'm not out there fucking over every fucker I meet. Pardon me, Granny, I'm sorry.
And he's got a 3-inch stick up his 2-inch asshole.
Oh.
I would say, as pretty much a socialist, that he was born with that silver spoon in his mouth, and he never really gained any true humanity because he's been stuck in this bubble his entire life. And then he had those daddy issues to where he was never going to live up to what his dad. I mean, that's like the main reason he wanted to be president in the first place. He didn't want to be president. He just wanted to be better than his dad, and he wanted to be better than Obama because Obama humiliated him during one of those press dinners that they have every year.
Press dinner, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, he's a very vindictive person. He's been like that his whole life. Like, this man used to literally call in to news organizations in New York, pretend to be somebody else, and talk good about Donald Trump. I mean, that's this dude. That's him. That's what he is.
And he would never even try to hide his voice. It was so funny.
Yeah, it was so obvious that it was him.
Yeah.
Oh.
How can somebody with that distinctive a voice not realize their voice is distinctive and try to disguise it? I mean, I have a distinctive voice. If I were trying to call in somewhere to talk good about me, I would make a concerted effort to disguise this voice.
Yeah,
How can he not understand?
And use a different alias than you've used to sign yourself into hotels all across the world. I mean, be a little smarter about it.
Oh dear, well, that's the problem, isn't it? We're expecting Trump to be a little smarter about it. That man's not a little smarter about it enough to close an umbrella, as we've seen.
I've tried for like 4 years now to prove to my dad, who used to be a rational thinking minded human being, that this is the dumbest man in the history of the world. And I can't make him see it. And I'm not even being like rage about it. I'm just like, Dad, he's dumb. Just like, look at this. And my dad's like, nope, Trump 2020, Trump train. Like, God damn, you live in North Carolina. Why?
Oh, shit.
I mean, my dad is literally that native that went down to the South. He was that damn Yankee, and now he's a full-blooded whatever they are down there now. I mean, it's cray-cray.
He drank the water down here, did he?
Yeah, he's surrounded himself with some Trumpers, I guess. He used, like, for 10 years, he was liberal. Down in North Carolina, raised us liberal, and they can't understand why we're liberal. I don't get it.
Yeah, I know a lot of people that say they would vote for Iraq before they'd vote for Trump. But unfortunately, I also know too many people that are still voting for Trump.
Well, and unfortunately, as the last election should show us, and we should be vigilant right up until November, is a lot of people are going to say that they're not going to vote for Trump, and they're going to go and they're going to vote for Trump. So we've got to be vigilant. We got to get our vote out, and we really got to get the youth active, which is going to be hard with Biden. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, Trump is probably our greatest card with the youth right now because he's just so terrible for them that I think hopefully they'll show up. But I mean, yeah, it's not 2016 again. Like Hillary Clinton, the left had spent 20 years demonizing her, or the right had. The right hasn't spent nearly as much time with Joe Biden, and in fact, a lot of them actually like Joe Biden. So it's going to be a different dynamic this go around.
Jeff is asking again, what would happen if Trump dug his heels in and didn't leave office? We did cover that, Jeff. We talked about how, it is he will likely tie things up in the courts and claim that that the election was rigged and it was unfair and
that's what he claims. That doesn't go his way, isn't it? That's unfair.
I'm sorry, what?
That's why he claims about thing that doesn't go his way, that it was unfair.
Yeah.
Imagine at school, anytime something didn't go his way at school, it's not fair. I didn't do it. It was Bobby.
Yeah, like when he was the head cheerleader instead of going to Vietnam.
Yeah, exactly.
He's Eddie Haskell personified.
Which is nothing wrong with being a head cheerleader, but at least if you're gonna skate out of actually fighting the war, and I'm against that war, so I don't really blame Donald Trump for not fighting that war. I do blame him that he didn't fight it because of his privilege when thousands of people that didn't want to fight that war was forced to fight that war. But I mean, it goes to his character, and it goes to what these people voted in, and how easily it is to fool people into thinking something that's just right in front of their face, not true, not evident. And it's really, really sad that it's still up in the air. And a lot of these people are going to be like, yeah, Trump, he sucks. He handled this COVID thing real bad. I ain't voting for him. And then they're going to go and vote for him, just like they did in 2016, because he's reprehensible, and they're never going to admit it with their mouths. So we've got to be vigilant. We can't get complacent here. I'm speaking to the left of America, please.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did
Jeff
he
wants to
was
know.
the cheerleader, or was he the head cheerleader?
That's a good question. That's a good. He was the head cheerleader of Harvard, I do believe. The head cheerleader.
Biden can't do that, Jeff, because the people who are going to put him in jail is the Southern District of New York, and that's a state operation, not a federal. And they hate Donald Trump badly, and they want to take that fucker down.
Yeah, and he's trying to.
Donald Trump will die in prison.
Donald Trump right now is trying to disable that group in New York that's coming after him too. It's completely unconstitutional.
Yeah, he is so in prison when he leaves office, isn't he? So it's one of the reasons he doesn't want to go.
I do think it's a different dynamic. Obama did grant immunity to George Bush for his war crimes, but as Jenny stated, this is on a state level already. So it's a totally different monster. I don't think Biden could stop it if he tried.
He could ask him to agree to pardon him, sort of like the deal that Trump had with Stone, that as long as Stone didn't talk, that Trump would pardon him for anything he got convicted of. But I really don't think Biden would go for it.
Well, and Stone was on the federal level, and the state of New York is going after him.
Yeah.
Maybe if he agreed to emigrate to Russia, he might let him go.
Biden.
Well, that's
Okay.
that's something that he may attempt. That he thinks he's been setting himself up for this life in Russia with his buddy Putin. Okay, fine. You want to do that? Go ahead, do that. You hang out with Steven Seagal. Why don't you?
Yeah.
While you're at it, why don't you just sell that golf course in Scotland, because the people want it back.
He wants to get more high bed practices, though. I mean, that whole thing of having golden showers is just not a good look.
I would be
I
okay
still
with
believe that.
them
I believe
settling with
that. I'm
Trump,
sorry.
as long as the agreement was okay. We will let you off scot-free as long as you give up every penny you have, and absolutely crush him. Well, okay, give him $100,000.
I don't think they could, though. Have y'all ever read the Panama Papers or seen anything on the Panama Papers? Most of Trump's money is gone. It's not even in this country. It's in some obscure account offshore. Yeah. Like most of the rich people's money in this country. Like, people are like, how can you pay for universal health care? Well, how about we get rid of that shit and the rich people actually pay taxes on all that fucking money they have, and we could pay for plenty in this country. But we tax and imprison the poor people in this country, and we don't tax and we don't imprison the rich people. And that's the issue with this country. That's systematic in this country. That's why people are in the streets right now. And hopefully the shit will fucking change this time.
Yeah.
Or not.
Yeah, it probably won't. It never does.
Brian Schultes asks, what role would Barr play in that scenario?
Oh, Lord, which scenario? We've plowed through so many alternate timelines at this point.
I think he's referring to, trying to get Trump out of office and Trump trying to come up with a deal, so that he doesn't get prosecuted when he leaves. I don't think Barr would play into it at all. I
think he would. I think he's definitely Trump's guy, but I think that they're probably. Yeah, I agree. I think that they're probably trying to come up with some scheme to that endeavor. But I think that they're so far into it now, and that if Biden wins, if Biden takes office, the public is going to learn a lot about what has been happening. And I think when it comes to the Ukraine, we're going to get all of those documents that they didn't get, that the White House didn't send over. So we're going to actually learn everything. It's going to be really hard for Donald Trump. I mean, he's going to have to literally pull a Snowden and go to Russia. I mean, he's going to have to.
Oh, here's hoping.
Maybe you should go and get it over and done with.
I think if he's smart, that would. I mean, there's actually people, legitimate political pundits, consultants, political thinkers in this country that thinks that Donald Trump is going to step down and Mike Pence is going to run for president.
Oh, really? Where have you heard that?
I've heard it from several people. James, Carville is one of the people saying it.
Really?
Oh yeah, and it's because Trump doesn't like to lose, and he sees the writing on the wall. He's flipping out. Like, everybody's reporting that he's flipping out. I heard that he had some kind of really weird thing going on as I was going live earlier, to where, like, the people writing me were like, he's either high or he's having a stroke. So something happened tonight that's just I don't even really know about. But yeah,
was that the conference he was doing where he brought up Obama and Biden stop testing right in the middle?
I've been off Twitter for 4 hours and something apparently has gone down spectacular. What did I miss?
All right, yeah, I'm not sure about that. I know it happened today. That's what I know about it. People were texting me as I was about to go live earlier. I'll be right back. She needs needles for her nighttime shot.
Oh,
Okay, no problem.
So this has all been American politics, Jen. Are y'all surviving down there?
Oh, we're fine. I mean, we bitch about our politics over here, but the worst thing we've got is we've got a religious prime minister who is quite religious. But having said that, we still have progressive changes in our country despite that, because the prime minister doesn't have the same sort of power that your president does. For a start, their party can kick their ass out if they're not doing a good enough job, and we've had that in this country. We've had change of prime ministers without elections from both major parties because the parties didn't like what their leaders were doing. So the prime ministers, whilst they have a reasonable amount of power being prime minister, are beholden to their parties. And in Australia, our Conservative Party and the Liberal Party, which is weird because in Australia our Conservative Party is called the Liberal Party, which is just mind-blowing to everybody else in the world. It's all asked about. The Labor Party is our Liberal Party, and the Liberal Party is our Conservative Party. Yeah, go figure that. At least
it's
Labor
the Coriolis effect. It twists everything around.
Brains are spinning in the wrong direction. That's the problem. The point was the Liberal Party actually used to be more centre-left and changed to become a more right-wing Conservative Party, but didn't change its name to suit that. So that was the problem with that. So the politics changed. You know, like in the US, it used to be the case that the Republicans were actually more left than right at one point. So that has changed. Parties do change their positions over time, and that's what happened here. But with us, the majority of both parties are more centrist than their extremes. You still get your far right within the Liberal Party, and you get your far left within Labor, but they're actually, in general policy things, both parties are very close. It's there's some social change stuff that's different and some fiscal stuff that is obviously different because you've got that different ideology. So for the most part in Australia, most policies that are for the benefit of the majority of Australians get through with bipartisan support. So we don't have the same sort of issues that you do in that sense. We also have there's an oversight committee that actually look at how boundaries are changed, so that the party that's in power don't have absolute say about how electoral boundaries are changed. That was brought in specifically to reduce gerrymandering. So they actually try to keep them more as a balanced thing. I mean, you definitely do have some electoral areas that are more one party than the other. There's definitely safe seats there, but on the whole, it sort of balances out. So generally speaking, across our populace, the swinging vote difference amounts to about no party generally gets in on more than about 6 or 7% of the vote in total. That can equate to quite a few seats in Parliament, but it's enough that it could swing back on the next election. It just depends on the swing voters. So here there's no definite set that you're actually going to win your next term or anything like that. There's no definite thing that you can set boundaries. It used to be there was a big problem in Queensland, especially where the National Party got control of the seats and totally gerrymandered the entire state and stayed in power for 20 plus years under Joh Bjelke-Petersen. And that was one of the main impetuses for setting up this organisation that oversees changing of electoral boundaries to try and make sure that there's not as much gerrymandering. It still happens, but not to the same extent. So we don't have those similar problems that you do in that sense. Plus, we have compulsory voting here, so everyone has to show up to vote. And that's good. By the way, twinsies. Colour.
Oh, yes.
Oh.
Oh, mine are just plain ugly red. Sorry.
Nothing wrong with some classics. Nothing wrong with some classics.
I like my purples and reds. I've got a metallic silver that I bought, and I'm dying to try out, see how it looks. So it'll be sparkly and shiny. So that should be.
I tried metallic silver once upon a time, but it was during my wearing all black phase, and it was just a little Borg-ish for me.
You came out as a Borg.
For all you people out in the chat who have never done it, I strongly suggest that you try painting your nails sometime. It's kind of fun.
Yeah.
Tried it.
Even the guys in the chat, painting your nails is fun. It is actually quite meditative and relaxing, painting your nails.
Well, we have been going now for an hour and 20 minutes, and
Sweet
I know
Jesus,
it's
time flies.
Yeah. So I'd like to give everyone an opportunity to shill for themselves before we close up. Somebody who has a wrench, please go ahead and drop a link in the chat to everyone's channels. Let's see. Does Jeff have a wrench? Do I need to give him one? I'm not sure. I'll check on that. While I'm checking on that, let's let Ethan go first. Ethan, what do you have coming up in the future for us?
Oh, sweet, thank you. So you can check me out on youtube.com/YFNAatheist. Tomorrow I do roundtables every Wednesday. Tomorrow is going to be the 5 Christians and 1 atheist roundtable. I'll be the atheist. And then I have Dan Jacob, Craig Reed, S.J. Thomason, Catalina, and Rick Fox.
I don't envy you having SJ on.
I've been on her channel twice. I was with her and G-Man on Sunday. That was interesting.
Oh, you poor person, you.
How did I not get a notification for that?
You should have told G-Man you were a dragoon. That would have been fun. A dragoon. Next time you're in a room with G-Man, just say, "Hey, G-Man, I'm a dragoon," and then message me so I can watch.
You got to tell me what that is.
It's a Dragnot Silvis thing. So G-Man thinks that Dragnot Silvis can mentally control people, and he calls those people dragoons.
Really? Well, Dragnot.
Yeah, I shit you not.
Dragnot will be on my channel Thursday. And yeah, he definitely was not a fan of Dragnot.
He'll tell you the story of how dragoons came about if you ask him.
Oh, I'm so happy right now.
Dragnot will be more than happy to tell you that story.
And then lastly, Sunday, I have Vila Bianca on, and we will be talking about gender.
You'll be talking about what?
Gender.
Oh, okay. Very good. Junk Shop, what have you got coming up?
I've got improv Bible study coming on tomorrow at 2 in the afternoon. That's where we where we read every excruciating verse of the King James Bible and then tear it a new asshole, pardon my French. We do that Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 2 p.m. Central. That's 3 p.m. Eastern. That's 8 p.m. UK and 9 p.m. Denmark, and I don't know what it is for the rest of the world.
Okay. Jenny, what do you have coming up?
Nothing.
But which Jen?
Jenny hates Trump. Do you have anything coming up? Any more streams that you are planning to do?
No, but I try to get into Critical Cripples early morning question sessions. It's so much fun. But it's real random whether or not you get in because there's a demand to get on that panel.
Yep.
Other than that, I have nothing specific going except for a movie night on Friday night.
Okay,
and
Jen.
And Aunt Jer, thank you very much.
Jen's little corner. What have you got going on?
I'm hoping to do another one of my discussion groups. It'll be late night my time, so early morning for you guys in the US. That hopefully today. I haven't got a topic for it, so that's a plan for today. I'll have a debunking video coming out this week, and I may do another discussion video on relationships and sex because I'm quite enjoying making them. I may not do it anymore. I may not do it naked next time because it's bloody cold here.
And
the votes were for me to do all of those discussions naked, and I don't know whether I will or I won't. It's just one of those. It's a joke, but the joke only lasts for so long, and then it's not funny anymore. So, although it's the tax.
Did the second one do as well as the female masturbation video?
No way. That was so clickbaity. The female masturbation video. That has had so many people rewatch the first part of that as soft porn. It's yeah.
What's the viewership up to on that one?
It's not as good. It's nowhere near as good.
Jen, what's the viewership up to on that masturbation video?
1,400 and something.
Not bad.
Yeah.
Why am I still wearing sweaters for Bible study? God damn.
I'm also on Saturday night. I'm hoping to revive a show that Jeff and I did that Granny was on, where we talk about stupid news. I've also got a couple of other games that I want to put in that, and that'll be like a panel show where we have fun doing games and stuff like that. So I'm hoping to do that on Saturday nights, my time Saturday nights. Although I am tempted to do it as Saturday morning my time, so it becomes a Friday night US panel, which could be more interesting. So that's what I'm thinking about, but working.
And Naka, what have you got going on?
Putting together a pretty good show for Thursday night, kind of an atheist forum where I'm going to be asking some questions that people don't have to answer. But I want to try to get a lot of atheists together and just kind of show the broad spectrum of atheism and how we have different opinions and beliefs, and we're not all stuck in one camp of groupthink or whatever. So outside of that, I kind of do. I've been working on kind of what Junk Shop was talking about. I like to review the Bible, and so I got a couple of those videos coming out to where I just review the Bible from an atheist perspective, and it really triggers Christians. They don't like it. I call it the Bible is stupid, because it's stupid. And I just agreed to my next modern day debate with a troll of mine. James is cool with the shit show, I guess. So I'm gonna be debating Smokey Saint sometime next week on modern day debate. No. He's probably getting handled by T-Jump on modern day debate right now. So I'm gonna have to go see how bad he got spanked tonight, and then I'll be spanking him sometime next week.
Ooh, spanking.
Spanking, oh yes. I'm gonna spank him.
Jen's attention.
I really enjoyed being with you guys tonight. You're a nice treat. You're all freaking nuts.
I enjoyed it too. This was a lot of fun.
I'd be proud to be on any panel with you. Thanks for having me.
And thank you. This week I will be releasing a video again on Friday, and it is a response to Answers in Genesis, their AIG news that's entitled Embracing Sin. And that video of theirs is about 38 minutes long, and I haven't shot mine yet, but I've written 9 pages of script and I only got through 15 minutes of the video. So that one obviously is going to be a two-parter. There's so many topics that they cover in that one. So that's what I'll premiere that sometime on Friday morning, probably late Friday morning or early Friday afternoon. And then I'm making this my regular stream time. So I will have a stream again at this time, 7:30 Central Time, on Tuesday. And I don't know what the topic will be next week. It kind of depends on what I see going on during the week, to determine what the topic will be. And I went over 300 subscribers today. Okay, hit another milestone.
Hey.
Congratulations.
Up to 304 according to my browser right now.
Oh my goodness, that means I've picked up about 3 more just during the time of this broadcast.
Yeah.
Very good.
And it was a pleasure having all of you on. This was such an interesting discussion, especially pleasure to have Naka and Ethan, because now I have 2 new friends. And I want to thank everyone in the chat who has come, Ricardo and Jeff and Julie and Aunt Jer and Robert. And there were so many in the chat, and I just thank you all for coming and for your questions. It's been wonderful. And everyone have a wonderful evening, and vote Trump out of office.
Please. I don't really want to move to Canada.
Amen.